Hello and welcome to Thought Provoking Tech. I'm Zach and this is Printed. In this episode of Printed, I am going to be designing a live sign that essentially says, hey, I'm live, I'm on Twitter or something, just so that the other people in the house know that I am currently recording something or that I'm actually live, not just recording. Just something interesting I wanted to do. I'm going to put lights inside of it, but that's going to be kind of part 2 of this process. I'm just going to do a very quick sped up. This is at 8 times speed preview of kind of the design process. So if you're interested in that, I am using Autodesk Inventor. It's a very powerful piece of software, way overkill for what I'm doing here, but it's what I currently know and love, so just may as well use what you know. So essentially, I'm getting the dimensions for the box here, and I'm using the words to extrude down into the body to make where the words are going to be a really thin layer. That thin layer should let a lot more light through than the body itself, so that it appears that the words are glowing. And to extend that even further, I'm going to print the words out of a orange filament, and the body's going to be out of a blue. So the darker filament, of course, will kind of help from the body, will help lend that illusion that I'm going after, and the bright orange filament will really make it seem like it's glowing. Now at this part, I start designing the mounting, how it's going to mount it to a wall or something. However, I realized that is probably not a good idea. Essentially, I'm going to print it with the words down, so the part that's live down, the front of the body down. So these would be overhanging, and that'd be a massive overhang. So I do end up reverting this. But, kind of figured I would show just kind of the entire process and kind of how designing stuff is iterative. You do make mistakes, you change your design over and over again, and hopefully you end up getting a good design. So the research I did into how to print, at least with Simplified 3D, I realized you need 2 different STL files. So what I end up doing to get 2 STL files is I just take the front and end up just cutting it rest of the way out. And that gives me the empty part right there, and then I essentially end up getting just the words as a separate STL. And then I will place those later on in Simplified 3D to get a full print with 2 different colors. Because the way that Simplified 3D works is each STL you could do a different color. At least from what I know, that's how it works. There might be an easier way to do it. That would be awesome if there was. But that's how I currently know. So now I have the words separate and their own STL. And now I've eliminated the kind of overhang on the back, and I'm going for a slot design in the top. Now with this slot design, I'm going to have a back panel that I'll be designing here really quickly that will slide up into that slot, and that'll essentially hold it, because the slot will be mounted to the wall or whatever, and the back panel will be mounted to the wall, and it'll have a little raised portion that'll go into that slot, and it'll just be held primarily by gravity, but it'll also fit inside the back hole enough that it should be a pretty tight fit. So it shouldn't have any issues of really falling off the wall. I've given myself plenty of clearance here though in the slot, just due to, I didn't want it too tight. I did want it to be fairly easy to come off. I haven't decided exactly how I'm going to do electronics. I could just make it super simple and have something I turn on and off and throw it up on the wall once it's on, or I could go really extravagant and make it completely wireless with batteries that need to be changed somewhat periodically, and have it like a web interface that controls it and turns it on and off. As you just saw, this kind of like the back panel, and now I'm just kind of making an assembly to kind of illustrate exactly how it's going to go. So as you can see, that little slot, it kind of goes into the body and then before it goes up, and you can see that it's just fitting up right inside there, and the holes that I will eventually put in the back uh, will mount that back panel to the wall, and then your slot sits right up inside there. I think it is a pretty good design. We'll see how it comes out printed wise. There is a little bit of overhangs here, uh, so um, uh, it might not print exactly right. And yeah, I was being goofy at first, and instead I was trying to use lines to position my points instead of just dimensioning the points, afterwards. So that's essentially the design process. So now I'm going to go ahead and jump into Simplify 3D, and it's going to go back to real time for a little while. So if you have any questions on the Inventor, just let me know and I can answer those. So I kind of already have this process set up. I didn't realize that Simplify 3D has an issue with OBS, and for some reason it doesn't like to capture the actual window of what you're doing. But I'll just kind of run right back through this real quick. Essentially, by making two parts, you can align those pretty simple inside Simplify 3D. It's actually pretty dang simple. Then you go to the tools and a dual extrusion wizard. This does have an auto line feature, but it didn't work, so I actually had to unload the file again and rearrange it. But I did save a factory file before I did that, and the factory file just loaded it right back up. So this is when you can set your stuff to be like the right extruder do part 1 and the left extruder do part 2. So with that in mind, all you have to do is do that. I unselect the group and align models option, as that is the tool that will automatically align it. And I don't know if mine just have different origins that they're basing off of, because I had deleted part of the model and just retained the letters when I did the second part. I thought by doing it that way, it would retain the origin and stuff, so that it would wouldn't have an issue like this. But for some reason it did, and the cat is trying to help 3D print, which is never a good thing. In the design phase, it's not too bad, but in production, it's not good at all. The cats like moving things. Who would have thunk it? So after you do that, you would hit OK, of course, and then you can prepare to print. And this is where you're going to select all colors. Make sure you do that. I always do continuous printing. You can do object by object, but the FlashForge Creator Pro has a pretty big, bulky head, and it would get itself in the way. It'd be in the way of itself. Now, with my live being so thin, it could be possible to actually do that. But I'm just going to do continuous printing. If I have a little bit of crossover with the colors, it's not a huge deal to me. Now, if you change your coloring to after toolhead, you'll actually see, if it's set up correctly, two separate colors indicating the different print heads. Tool 1 is your right one, and tool 0 is your right one, and tool 1 is your left one. So you'll see in print head, or my second printer head, will be printing light in the light green, which is the live. So I actually kind of like the blue. So what I'm thinking is kind of have the colors for the channel are blue and green. So I might retain, or not blue and green, sorry, blue and orange. So I might retain that and go ahead to... Okay, so that's distracted there slightly because I saw this outer boundary, but that's just the standard outer boundary. It's just been raised now, and that's another thing that when I was doing my research on how to design models that have multiple colors, it does that instead of just doing a couple passes. It does that continuously, so that it can do that whenever it needs to. Stop it. So it can do that whenever it needs to change colors to help prevent running of the colors. So it's definitely a cool feature. And then essentially after that, you're going to save your toolpath to disk. So now I'll jump onto the actual printing process and we'll see how it goes. So as you can see in the video, the sped up video, it is now being printed and it's actually now completely printed. I'm going to be doing this kind of final kind of wrapping up as it's kind of showcase the printing. It's a pretty simple print, so I didn't really think that the actual print process needed a lot of focus. So I've put it as a smaller kind of highlight reel in the top of the video, and figured to at least show it while I'm doing the wrap up. So the parts came out pretty good. As you can see, the back panel has a couple holes, and the top came out really good, I think. Did some supports there just because it was a pretty big overlay, and just cleaned that up a little bit. I didn't sand it or anything, and it came out pretty darn good. So as you saw kind of in the assembly part inside Inventor, this will be mounted to a wall. It'll be sturdy, and then you'll just tilt your box like so, and that top part will go in there, and then your box will just literally just set up against that. The height between there, it's going to hold it. There's no way that it's going to fall out, and it allows this box to be very easy to take off and get to the electronics and the LEDs inside. So the way I'm imagining it, the Arduino and LEDs and the battery will all be mounted inside here, and depending on how you set it up, from a very simple kind of switch you turn, or just put it to the side maybe, literally switch you turn on, turns it on. You can get to batteries easily when it's time to change them. Or if you want to do a more elegant manner where the Arduino is kind of always on, and then you kind of give it a command through like a Wi-Fi network or RF network, telling it to turn on the LEDs. The downside with that is, unless you're using this a ton, you're going to be burning some battery power with your Arduino just being on, and kind of periodically checking in on the Wi-Fi to see if it has any commands or what say you. So I'll probably do a switch just because for this use, it's not like a household light that you're going to be turning on and off all the time. It's something that's very specific use case. So I'll probably be doing a switch. I'll probably, depending on where I'm going to mount it, might just cut a little hole in the side and have a switch, or just do an internal switch. I'll open it up, turn that switch, and then slide it back on the top. And with the design that this has, it's going to be very easy to take that off and turn it back on. And but that part will be in a second video. I need to get some electronics and some LEDs, probably one of the LED strips, and just cut it to finish that out. Without one last thing, this gets printed on the outside. It's for multicolored prints. Now I only had like multicolored for a very limited number of layers, but I went ahead and did this. In the video you can see that it gets this little junk off to the side. I'm not exactly sure what's causing that, but this is like one layer thick, so it gets kind of bold. So if you're actually in the future, I'll probably fine tune this so that it only goes to where your dual color stop, because there's no reason to have it go past the dual colors, because it doesn't need to wipe to change the color and make sure that it's printing good and the film is running good in there. Or at the very least, print this a couple layers thicker so that it doesn't have that flex and bow to it, because the default thickness, it's actually pretty tight on this, and at times it's getting close to rubbing against this, and could mess up your print just by getting hot and flexing or something and running into your print, and your print head getting stuck on it, or it accidentally adhering to your print. Just so in the future, I would definitely print that thicker, or just stop it if that's possible, just wherever your dual color stop. So that pretty much sums up the overview on this print. It's done with the printing stage, and now it's on to electronics. So I'd like to just thank you for watching. I hope that you found this video interesting. let me know what you kind of found the most interesting, or if you're kind of interested in like the design process. Should I focus more on that inside like Inventor, just give you a better idea of how the design process works, or do you like the printing process, or the the possibilities with electronics and 3D printing, or just kind of the entire process, kind of how I did it with like a lot of stuff sped up just to get a more concise video. So just let me know what you're more interested in, and I can focus on that in the future. And once again, thanks for watching. Before I leave, make sure you give my video a like if you liked it, and make sure you subscribe to my channel. Both of those are great, and I like seeing that feedback. If you have any comments, make sure you comment, or you can mention me on Twitter, and I will try to catch it and make sure I reply if you have any questions or anything. And if you want more in-depth conversations, I have an MZ community, which is a new social media platform that I also have a video on that I'll show up in a card. And if you're interested in that, you can join my community, and I will link that in the discussion in the description below too. Thanks for watching.